In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Hello and warm welcome to all of you dear viewers of Marjaeyat TV. Be with us with another episode of program Marjaeyat Horizon. Stay tuned, watching news, reports and meetings all about the Grand Jurist Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq El-Shirazi. Shia Rights Watch released its latest report containing anti-Shia movements across the world. This report highlights the activities of terrorist groups and organized actions of some governments against Shias by providing authentic documents to the public, the media, and international human rights organizations. Here we offer you a thorough analysis of this report.
In its latest monthly report, Shia Rights Watch organization addresses the anti-Shia and terrorist movements against Shias across the world in January 2016. It is noteworthy that this report only includes incidents that enjoy sufficient and verified documents. This report will send to human rights organizations, international foundations, the media, and the public opinion. Pakistan. In a suicide blast in Quetta city, in west-south of Pakistan, at least 15 people were killed and 25 others were brutally injured. Following this blast, some TV channels stated that Jundullah terrorist group has taken responsibility for this attack. In addition, the police confirmed the kidnapping of a young Shia citizen who was wearing a shirt with the name of Imam Ali on it. The body of the young boy was found beheaded in a few days after he was kidnapped. Shias in Pakistan have suffered long-term terrorist activities in this country. Bahrain. After the execution of Sheikh Namr and the widespread protests in Bahrain, security forces clamped down on the protesters heavily. In addition, the Bahraini security forces arrested a religious personality and a doctor for their participation in the protests. These arbitrary arrests happen as the Bahraini court has been releasing harsh sentences on long-term imprisonments against the dissidents. In recent years, the Bahraini regime has tried to quell the protests by arbitrary arrests and anti-human court sentences. Libya. The Libyan social ministry has announced that marrying Shia Muslims is illegal. This human and anti-Islamic law was passed after the country's Grand Mufti, Abdurrahman al-Gharani, released a verdict and banned any marriage bonds to the Shia Muslims. Under the influence of extremist religious leaders, anti-Shia sentiments and movements in countries such as Libya have witnessed a dramatic upsurge. Nigeria. Human rights activists in Nigeria announced that after the country's army attacked Zaria village, there are no information of nearly 800 Shia Muslims' fate. In addition, these human rights activists stated that the fate of Sheikh Namr is unclear and there is no exact information about his life conditions. Even after 40 days that the Nigerian army attacked Zaria village, government forces still refrain from giving any exact information of the casualties. Syria. During the past month, many civilians lost their lives in Syria. 2 Shia cities of Kafaria and Foa are still in heavy blockade by extremist forces that hit the civilians with rockets on a daily basis. However, according to an agreement verified by the UN, 300 people from these 2 cities were allowed to leave for Beirut. However, unfortunately, al-Nusra forces have stopped any humanitarian assistance from entering these cities. This is while the cities of Nabil and Azawar are still targeted by rockets. Saudi Arabia. In another provocative act, the Saudi authorities executed Sheikh Namr, a prominent religious leader in this country. Sheikh Namr was detained in 2012 and suffered brutal tortures until he was mercilessly executed a few days ago. After the martyrdom of this religious personality, Shias in Awami and Safi districts staged rallies to protest the death of Sheikh Namr. However, the security forces used armored vehicles and suppressed all protests. Since its grasp of power, the Saudi royals have practiced anti-Shia policies in both their domestic and foreign affairs. Iraq. Shia Muslims and their communities in the capital Baghdad have been a main target for ISIS suicide bombers. The number of the injured and killed in these attacks has raised many concerns, and despite tightened security measures, the blasts continue to claim more and more casualties. Iraqi authorities have also announced that the road bombs, suicide bombers, car bombs, and kidnappings have jeopardized the lives of the civilians. Waves of blasts in this month also resulted in the death of many civilians in the country's capital. Somalia. A religious court in Somalia convicted some Shia Muslims to suffer long-term imprisonments and heavy financial penalties. These charges came after the Shias were accused of propagating Shia Islam in this country. Anti-Shia sentiments in some African countries have prepared grounds for Wahhabi ideologies and more terrorist activities.
Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Tijani and Mr. Jilani al-Saad, two distinguished scientific and religious personalities and Shia converts from Tunisia, had a meeting with the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi. In this meeting, these guests listened to the statements of the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi about the conditions of Shia Muslims across the world. For more details on this meeting, I invite you to watch this report.
In the last 1400 years of the history of Islam, the Shia Muslims have always followed the teachings of the Holy Quran and the instructions of Prophet Muhammad and his household, peace be upon them. They utilized the authentic Islamic teachings which were revealed by the Holy Prophet Muhammad and his rightful successors in order to safeguard themselves from going astray. In a meeting with two high-ranked religious figures from Tunisia who converted to the religion of Islam, the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi said to Dr. Tijani and Mr. Jilani that the best example of Islamic leadership is the period of Imam Ali's leadership. The eminent Ayatollah Shirazi added that history testifies to the fact that, in this period, there was not a single violation of Muslim human rights, and the leaders of all Muslim countries need to follow the Imam in his footsteps.
علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله عليه سيد الشيعة ورئيس الشيعة. هذا الجواب عن لا مكان للشيعة. هذا حكم 5 سنوات تقريبا على كل البلاد الإسلامية اللي في خريطة العالم اليوم. الرقعة اللي حكمها علي بن أبي طالب من عمق أوروبا إلى عمق إفريقيا إلى الشرق الأوسط 50 أو أكثر من 50 دولة حكمها علي. واحدة تونس، واحدة الجزائر، واحدة العراق، واحدة إيران، واحدة السعودية. وخلال حكمه لم يسجل التاريخ على هذا الحاكم علي بن أبي طالب سجين سياسي واحد. هذا الشيعة لم يسجل التاريخ في طول حكم علي بن أبي طالب قتيل سياسي واحد، إعدام سياسي واحد ماكو. الآن مع تقدم العالم حتى في البلاد المتحضرة أكو سجون سياسيين
لا تعد ولا تحصى.
علي بن أبي طالب في طول تاريخه سجين سياسي واحد
ما شاء الله.
هذا الشيء، هذا منطق الشيعة. منطق مو قوة،
منطق.
وأكثر من هذا لا تجد في تاريخ علي بن أبي طالب في طول حكومته أن هناك شخص واحد قال أنا خوفا من علي بن أبي طالب سهرت بالليل ما نمت. ماكو واحد.
أمن وأمان
في طول التاريخ.
During this meeting, the eminent Ayatollah Shirazi pointed to the expansion of freedom of speech and the improvement of the practice of human rights in many countries all over the world, and then emphasized that if the world were to learn about Imam Ali, peace be upon him, they would without a doubt admire this unique character of the Muslim world. Moreover, the Grand Ayatollah Shirazi said, the history stands witness that Imam Ali set an example in piety, generosity, kindness, and goodness. And in case the people of different societies learned about his character, they would consider him as their role model.
الدنيا أكثر من 200 دولة الآن، كبيرها وصغيرها.
صح.
وهذه الدول 80-90% منها فيها حرية نسبية.
صح.
وهذه الحرية تتوسع على الدول اللي الحرية فيها أقل شيئا فشيئا. وكلما كانت حرية وكان هناك تبليغ يعني وصول فكرة علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله عليه، كلما كان علي بن أبي طالب قطعة من الإنسانية، قطعة من العفو، قطعة من الرحمة، قطعة من الخير. علي بن أبي طالب، علي بن أبي طالب كتب إلى مالك الأشتر حين ولاه
ولاية مصر
في الحكومة، كتب عليه وأشعر قلبك العطف بالرعية والعفو، ولا تكونن عليهم سبعا ضاريا. في غير علي بن أبي طالب لا تجد هذا مقياس الشيعة. وسيأتي يوم مع مرور التاريخ في المستقبل وعقلانية التاريخ وعقلانية البشر شيئا فشيئا والحريات اللي في توسع، سيأتي يوم هاي تونس بعد 100 سنة أكثر أقل تونس تكون كلها شيعة إن شاء الله. لا هنالك يعني التشيع يعني إنسانية يعني أخلاق يعني فضيلة.
In another part of his speech about the history of Islam, the eminent Ayatollah Shirazi referred to the prophetic hadith and said that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the first person to use the word Shia to address the followers of his successor, peace be upon him.
التشيع والشيعة كلمة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. السيد ذاكرهن في كتبه.
يا علي أنت وشيعتك لهم الفائزون يوم القيامة.
رسول الله سمى أتباع علي بن أبي طالب بكلمة الشيعة. نعم. يا علي أنت وشيعتك، ما قال أتباعك. والتشيع هذا وليد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. ورسول الله يقول القرآن الكريم عنه وما ينطق عن الهوى إن هو إلا وحي يوحى يعني كلمة التشيع بوحي من الله تعالى.
In the end of the meeting, Ayatollah Shirazi congratulated Mr. Gilani for embracing the Shia Islam and becoming a follower of Prophet Muhammad and his household, peace be upon them. Then referring to a hadith from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the grand jury stated that the key to prosperity in all aspects of life is not getting angry.
سألت الله والله سألت الله أن يريني الفرقة الناجية بهذا السؤال بعد 3 أيام أتاني بكتابه ثم اهتديت.
وأنا أضيف إلى جيلاني اسما مباركا أكثر بركة من أي اسم في طول التاريخ.
ما شاء الله.
من الآن أنت محمد جيلاني.
محمد خير الأسماء ما حمد وعبد.
وأوصيك بكلمة هي وصية محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سيد البشر أجمعين وسيد الخلق أجمعين.